Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Preacher's Kid. This is episode 4, and this is What Healing Looks Like, part 1, with yours truly, Tyla Parris. It's so good to have you guys here another week, and we're diving straight in to what healing looks like, what it is, and what it's looked like for me, and I'm pretty sure it's looking like for a lot of you. Can we first start by saying that healing is messy. Messy. And I know I don't got no amens right now, but if you're watching this right now, just say amen or comment amen. Do something, because the amount of times I have made strides and, gotten to a place of healing, and then I've watched it all crumble in the matter of seconds or minutes or hours. It's more than I can even count. But that is a part of the journey of healing, because as you are healing, you continue to learn other parts of you. And I think the first part of healing for everybody is learning you, learning what it is you need, whether that's from yourself or even from other people. What are you looking for from yourself or even from other people? And are your expectations valid? Right? Because I think a lot of times we can, expect certain things from people and not realize that that is a toxic expectation. And the reason we expect it is because of something that could have happened in the past or something prior that was a consistent thing. And now we're out of that, but it's like a routine for us. And it's a reminder every single time in this next relationship. So that's where healing starts, I believe, is with you. Healing is not about anybody else. It's really about you. I know in church we have a lot of sayings where it's like Jehovah Shalom, God of peace, the joy of the Lord is my strength. But, I submit to you that even in these times where, you're struggling or you're going through something physically, mentally, whatever it is in your body, do a heart check and ask yourself in the midst of that struggle, well, do I really have the joy of the Lord? Like, even in the midst of my situation, am I at peace? And if you can't answer that and I'm not saying you can't, have feelings to whatever it is that you are going through, but even through your feelings, you are mature enough to still know, your place in God, that you are at a place of rest and peace. I think if you can't answer that straight off with just saying, yes, even in my situations, I have peace, I'm fine, I'm good, I think there might be some healing that needs to be done. And I think for a lot of us, growing up in church, we've kind of seen a lot that didn't really show us how to have relationship with God. Like, how do I go about my healing process? How do I go about it? It's more than just prayer. It's more than just prophecy. And deliverance is a real thing, and I believe it. But I think, far more than just coughing or throwing up or whatever, it is that you are going through. I think deliverance is also a decision. Do you want to be made whole? Do you want to heal? And I think for a lot of us, we have become so complacent where it's just like, I am the way that I am, and it is what it is. But that's not okay. Not in this room, it's not. Not in this space, it's not. Because we have to always be in the place where we are growing. We are breaking out of the box. We're breaking out of stereotypes. We're breaking out of, everything that's been holding us. And a part of that is breaking out of triggers, breaking out of traumas, those things that you went through as a child, break out of them. So here is some part of my story. See if we can get to the whole thing today, but if not, we'll get to it at another time. I was raised in a home with my father and with my mother. Grew up with my siblings. I am the oldest of my mothers. I am the fourth of my fathers. In that marriage with my mom and my father, they had two other children, which are my younger brother. Shout out to Matthew, because I know you're watching. Shout out to Abigail, who's the youngest, who's my sister. Shout out to Abigail. You better be watching. We grew up in Brooklyn, and for the most part, what looked like an amazing childhood to us, as we grew older, kind of became really dysfunctional. Growing up, I had my father who was in my life, but was never emotionally there. It wasn't until a year or two ago I realized that how much that can really affect a household. So I just want to pause right there and say, like, if you are a father, or if you are expecting, please make sure that you are not just physically there. You're not just a statue who just goes in and out of work, but you are actually emotionally there for your children. That's not something that I had growing up. And because I didn't have that, I was looking for my father in my other relationships. And I did not know this and when I found out, I was like, oh, well, that kind of makes sense, and that kind of makes sense. I was looking for my father in my friends. I was looking for my father in other people that just, they weren't my father, and I remember the wrestling that it took within me, because while being wounded and worshiping God, the question that's always going to come up is, God, why am I here? You are a God that can do miracles, signs, and wonders. You are Jehovah Rapha, the God that healeth thee. Yet I am at a broken place. You knew me before I was in my mother's womb. Yet you still decided my childhood to be this way and to cause me to grow up this way. So now that I am now a broken man, I am a broken 25-year-old. Well, yeah, I am just broken. And another part of healing was, God, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to worship you and tell everybody of your goodness when right now it doesn't feel like you've been pretty good to me? You've given me something that has caused me a lot of pain, a lot of trauma. Growing up in my father's ministry was horrific. It was like extremely, extremely hard for me. In my first episode, I know I spoke about, not really wanting this when I'm younger. I didn't like church. They had a mattress in the back for me, and I would go to sleep on that mattress majority of the services, until they felt like I got too old and they threw away the mattress. And I didn't want to do any of it. I didn't want to be here. I was a kid, and I couldn't do anything else on a Sunday. And like, I remember my elementary school friends would be having parties and I couldn't go. And at that age, yes, I was upset. And yes, I did not understand it. And because of that, when I got into my teens, I started to rebel. And because I went through that rejection already, I was going through that rejection with my father emotionally, because I wasn't being seen. Um, I got into school and began to be rejected there as well. Because fathers, let me let you know, you set the pattern for your house. You set the pattern for your children. So, you know, I, I, I didn't know who I was. I was just kind of a blank canvas, just walking out on the street every day. And when I think I allowed people to define who I was for me, and I was okay with that. Like, I was okay with being that funny kid. I was okay with being that. But there came a point in time where I began to even be rejected in middle school and high school. And I was always like a cool kid. I guess you would say I was a cool preacher's kid. But I guess inside me, I always knew that I didn't fit in. And I went through, I had amazing, to this day, an amazing friend at the time who rejected me for someone else. And at the time, like, right now, like, because I'm okay, like, that's fine. But at the time, with the prior rejection that I did not know that was already inside me, and the father wound that was already inside me, that broke me, because we were friends for a long time. Like, she knew my family, she knew everything. And because of that rejection, with everything else, I fell into a deep depression. And with that depression came an addiction to alcohol. And again, because I was a blank canvas who kept letting everybody paint all over me and tell me who I was. And what liquor did for me was cause me to hide all of that pain that I was feeling. It was like a mask to all of that pain, and I could be what everybody wanted me to be. I could be that worship leader, I could be that worship leader that everybody wanted me to be, because I was okay. I was good. I was happy with life. I could be the friend that people wanted me to be because I was good. I was okay. But that was rooted in something. It was rooted in rejection, and that was the root, and it caused depression, anxiety. It caused alcoholism. It caused addictions. It caused abandonment. And I woke up one morning after years of being stuck and just saying, like, this is it to life. Like, I'm gonna have to drink every single day to get up out of this bed. I'm gonna have to drink to talk to people. I'm gonna have to drink to get up and even go to church. I'm gonna have to drink to get on this mic. I'm gonna have to drink to do everything. And even though I was drinking, there was still those little moments where you would wake up with that hangover and you were sobering up, and I was right in my mind, and I just wasn't okay. And I was leading worship through this whole entire time broken. And I never felt seen even in that time. I was never enough in the world. Let me stop here and say again, fathers, you are called to love your child and lead them. You aren't called to push anything down their throat. You're not called to, badger them into living the life that you want to. And I think one of the greatest things that any man, any woman can do is live the life that you want people to follow. I think that's what Jesus said. And I was saying it a couple of days ago. Some things don't have to be taught. They just got to be caught. If your life lines up, people will just automatically want to follow, And I was just bashed. I was always condemned for just not wanting that at the time and being where I was at. My parents didn't know about the alcoholism or any of that. That was all, just kind of underlying. They didn't even know. And because I played it so well. And woke up one morning and said, you know, I'm leading worship, I'm doing all these things, serving, showing up at church, but I'm drinking, and I'm still not satisfied. And I said, there has to be something that I'm missing. Like, I know everybody can't be going through what I'm going through right now. Like, this can't be a worldwide thing where does everybody like really feel this way, or is this if it's just me, maybe I shouldn't be here. And I was extremely suicidal, and I had tried on multiple occasions to commit suicide, but that morning the Holy Spirit spoke to me and said, you know, you sing and you praise about this God, why don't you really give him a try? And I pondered it for a couple of seconds and said, And he reminded me that literally the previous Sunday that I had just said, worship your healer. And at that moment, it dawned on me, if he is a healer, let me test him and see. So I did what I had to do. You know, I got up out of that bed, cleaned up my room. I threw out all those bottles that were under my bed. I cleaned up my life, and I ran over to the bookstore and bought a Bible. And I began to change what I was listening to, the music, the shows. I came off social media for a while, and I dived into the Gospels. I think I started with the book of John, and I began to learn the character of God. And I think something that's so amazing about the Bible is that you don't just have to read it once. You can read it over and over and over again, like certain chapters, certain books. And it's like a refreshing, it's like a reminder. So as I was reading John, that was my first time, and I said, wow. And I just slowly began to change. And at the time, I didn't realize it. It was a month or two later that people outside, people from my past life who knew me from partying and knew me, they were like, they see a change in me. And people even in church were saying, like, you're changing. Like, my worship was changing. Everything was changing. And I took a look inside, and I said, wait, I haven't had a drink in a long time. And it's not that I didn't have a drink, but I'm also not even craving it anymore. And it's that moment in time where I told God, I'm going to live for you. And that was my personal experience with God. Not with anybody else, not with anybody forcing me to do anything, not with any pressure, not with anybody telling me put the bottle down. I made that decision for myself. And because that decision I made, I received deliverance for myself. And that was enough. And from that day, I started a process with God. And there have been highs and lows. But through it all, I'm here, and I'm still going, and I'm still healing. One thing I think that we have to learn is that healing does not always look like a one-time prayer at an altar and you're okay. Like, I understand, and I really do believe in the miraculous power of God. I do believe that he can do it in a moment, but it won't look like that for everybody. It won't look that spontaneous for everybody. Some things God is bringing you through a process. Whether you were abused, molested, talked about, overlooked, rejected, whatever it is, God might be bringing you through a process. And healing does not look like at all times an altar call. I'm not saying don't go to the altar. I'm saying that is not always the end of your process. Healing is not a prophetic word. Healing is not prayer at 2 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. It's a part of it, and it helps cultivate you. It makes you, it strengthens your inner man, so you don't become like you don't enter back into those things, those thoughts so easily. But it's not the root. Healing for me looked like crying at 2 a.m. in the morning. And I know a lot of people don't understand that, but tears is a language that only God understands. So I'm a firm believer that as a worship leader, or as a person who's serving in any place, it's okay to still be broken. It's okay, because those tears are a language to God, and He understands. He's not looking at you and saying, well, you gotta, get it together because you got to lead worship, or you gotta preach. You can cry, you can cry and let it out. Sometimes we just need a release in our emotions as well, because we've been carrying so much. And it looked like journaling for me. That was something that worked for me. Writing out my feelings, because I realized that I couldn't always express what I was going through. And every time I would try, it would come out the wrong way, and it just made me feel worse because I felt more misunderstood. But when I put it on paper, I was able to let it go. I was able to get clarity in my emotions, and then move on. Healing looked like telling yourself that you were wrong, letting yourself know that you're the problem, it's not them. And I want to weirdly encourage somebody in that. You might be the problem. People really might not be out to hurt you all the time. People might not be trying to, be this big bad wolf. People are probably just being them. And it's up to you to heal and do the work that you need to do, so that you can accept them for who they are and be okay with you. Because at the end of the night, you got to go to sleep with yourself. You got to go to sleep with your own, decisions that you've made. Yeah. Healing it's messy. And I think one of the biggest lessons that I've had to learn through healing is just like forgiveness and letting go. And I'll start with forgiveness. I heard, I don't really remember who, but it's not my quote, so don't say it's my quote, it's not mine. But forgiveness looks like setting the prisoner free and realizing that you were the prisoner all along. And that blesses my soul, even as I say it right now, because I went through a season, even really previously, where I didn't want to forgive, because I felt like me holding on to it was me letting them know that you didn't get away with it. And I wanted revenge. But here comes the next part of letting go. When I let go and I forgave, I realized that there was such a sense of peace inside of me, because I was okay with me. I was okay with my decisions. I was okay knowing that I did my best, and that's all I could ever do. I couldn't make somebody do something that they didn't want to do, or force somebody to do something that they didn't want to. I just made the best decision that I could for me, and it was, I know it was done in love. I know it was done in kindness and purity. And if that wasn't enough for them, I had to let go and just forgive them. Understand that everybody's not going to have the capacity to carry you. my father, like, and that's something I had to heal from, because there were periods in my time where I was extremely mad because I was never taught how to be a man. I never saw what a man was supposed to do or what he was supposed to look like. So, being that blank canvas, I kind of had to paint my own picture. And sometimes painting your own picture, it's different from everybody else's picture. And I had to become okay with that. My picture doesn't look like yours, and that's fine. I'm okay with my picture. I think my picture is an A+. I think my picture is nice. I think my picture is amazing. And I think yours is too. Like, accepting each other's differences. Like, I didn't have a blueprint, and I had to heal from that. And I love my father. I love him with my whole entire heart. And I had to heal from that and say, you did what you saw your father do, but it stops here. It stops with me. And I forgive you for not having the capacity. I mean, if I really think about it, it's not really your fault. And I just want to let you guys know that you're going to come into contact with so many people in life that are amazing people, that love you, that care, but might not have the capacity to carry you. And that's okay. I think one of the amazing things is that you can love people, but not have to have them carry you. I can love you, but just understand that you might not be, called to me. I might not be called to you. There will always be that honor. There will always be that, relationship, that cordialness. Hey, how are you? It's no problem, but you might not have what I need, and I might not have what you need, and that's okay. It's okay. It's just okay. It's okay to be different. It's okay to be you. And you might not be accepted for that. But just know that the only acceptance that really matters is the acceptance of God. People are gonna like you, or they're not gonna like you. They're gonna love you, or they're not gonna love you. But I think that all that matters is that you love yourself, and you love the one that created you. And if you can understand that relationship triumphs what other people are saying, whatever happened in your childhood, whatever you had to go through growing up, I think you're gonna be fine. I know you're gonna be fine, because that relationship is really what matters. And it is the relationship that's going to cause you to heal. So if you're broken right now, if you're struggling with, why am I misunderstood? Why don't I feel a part of? Take a moment and say, God, I will choose in this moment to build with you. Because when everybody else forsakes me, or when everybody else feels like, they're busy with their own stuff, I still have a comforter. I still have a place where I am always, always, always safe. That is my word to you today. You are always safe in the arms of God. You are always safe to be honest. Don't let anybody tell you you can't be honest with God. No, he already knows. He already knows most of the times how you're feeling. So why hide that? You can be totally honest with God. And say what it is. Elijah was totally honest with God. Job was totally honest with God. He rebuked them after, but he was totally honest. And I think that's the amazing part about healing, being totally honest with God, but being rebuked back to your position, because you know the Bible says, if he rebukes you, he only rebukes those that he loves. So being pulled back in to do whatever he's called you to do and do your assignment, it's just a reminder that I love you. I don't know what you've been through. I don't know what you've had to go through, but you are seen. You are loved. I know you have to be there for everybody else. I know you got to show up for everybody else. But here and with God, you don't. You can just be honest. God, I'm drained. I'm tired. These people are getting on my last nerve. Why did you put me here? Why is life going this way? Why would you allow this to happen? Why would you allow that to happen? That honesty, I think God honors that more than us coming to him and acting like everything's all right. And I think when we're honest with him, we open up that channel for proper communication, because prayer is not just it's not one-sided, So I'm asking you this question, and I'm really waiting for your response. I'm really waiting. So I've been in many instances where I've had to, heal, but while I'm healing, I'm still bleeding. And one thing that is important that we learn is that it's okay to take a break. If you're not okay, you're not okay. Your soul matters more than a mic. Your soul matters more to God than an assignment. It's okay to say, I'm not okay right now. There are some things that I'm struggling with. I want you to sit. If you gotta pause it and just sit and be and think, why do I sometimes get into those highs and lows? Is there something that I might have went through that's causing that up and down? Why do I keep having these type of fallouts with my friends or people? Why can't I keep a relationship? Is there something that's happened in your life that is causing you to feel strain and friction? I submit to you that friction is not always a bad thing, but that friction is something that also, when friction is happening, it's collision. It hurts, and after the friction, the burn is still there, the cut is still there, and it has to be healed from. It has to be healed. And in this episode, I just want you to be able to open up and say, I need to be healed. Not all healing is physical. And I think we do that a lot in church, where it's just oh, you're sick, physically sick? Yeah, come for healing. Let the elders lay their hands on you. There's people who are struggling in their minds. I think this season, God is not, the enemy is attacking mostly the minds of God's people. And if you can't win the battle of the mind, you're not going anywhere. We have to learn how to be strong. We have to learn how to have fortitude and remain even in the midst of those trying seasons. But it takes healing. It takes healing. I've talked a lot, but what healing is looking like for me right now is honestly holy separation, where God is allowing me to just be okay with just me and him. Where he's allowing me to be loved in such a way that I've never been loved before. in such a way that my father could not give to me, in such a way that my friends could not give to me, no one could give to me. He's allowing me to be in a process where things are all over the place and chaotic, but yet I'm still so loved. I think healing, you know that you're healing, it's when you're at peace. You're at peace with every decision. You're at peace with situations, the chaos. Ezekiel looked into a valley of dry bones and commanded, those bones to live again, to come back to life, to bone, flesh, tendon to tendon, muscle to muscle. He did that, but the bones were scattered. I don't know if we realize that. Like, the bones were scattered. Do you understand how much chaos that probably was for bones? A leg here to be going to a hip all the way over there. It was probably so much chaos that was happening. Yet healing was taking place. Life was being given again. It was fresh breath. The ruach of God was being given again. But yet, looking at it physically, there was so much chaos. I submit to you that even in that chaos, I know what it looks like, but things are coming together. It's gonna make sense. Why you didn't have that growing up, it's gonna make sense. Why they did you the way they did you, it's gonna make sense. In the physical, it looks chaotic, but in the spirit, God is just breathing on that thing. And it's shaking things up, but everything is coming together in His timing. So healing right now looks like me making the decisions that I have to make for me so that I can be the best version for my wife. I can be the best version for my family, the best version for anybody who comes into contact with me. Healing looks like me being totally dependent on God. And I just want to say this. I don't think we can fully heal until we fully surrender to God. Because my journey, if I'm being honest, my journey has been so long is because there were times where I felt like I fully surrendered, but then I said, nope, God, I want to be mad about that thing again. I want to take that thing back up again. I want revenge. So I'm going to take it up and I'm going to do it on my own. And when I did that, I allowed all that rejection, pain, hurt back into my heart. I allowed it right back in. And it caused my process to go on longer than it had to. So healing right now looks like me being the best version of me, for me, so that I can be the best version for everybody who comes into contact with me. Being fully surrendered to God so that I could heal fully. Because if I give Him everything, I have nothing left but to receive from Him. Right? If my desires are aligned with Him, I'm safe. I'm good because I know that His plans towards me are perfect. He has a plan for me. And that's what it's looked like so far. I want to encourage my listeners out there that are listening faithfully, even if this is your first time listening, and you've been inspired. Start the work. And I know many people won't say that, but it's okay actually if you're not ready. It's okay if you're not ready to start that work. If it seems too hard right now, just take it one day at a time. Take it one day at a time. If you don't feel worthy enough, affirm yourself in God. The Bible already tells us who we are. God already speaks over us. Don't let anybody tell you anything else. I want to encourage you, for those who are at that place, heal and heal well. a couple of weeks ago, I was having a conversation with God, and he was telling me, like, okay, like, you've healed amazingly, like, I've been doing the work. He's been seeing me do the work, and he then said to me, but now it's time to heal even more. And I said, Paul is right there. And it honestly, I put him on pause for a couple of days, because the healing that I had already did had took so much work, so much energy. And I said, God, I'm tired. I'm done. If I can't heal for the past 2 years that I've been trying, there might not be any hope for me. And he left me on red, basically. He was silent on me, and he just kept repeating, it's time to go deeper. It's time to heal deeper. And I said, I don't even know what that looks like. And that's where I brought up the forgiveness and the letting go, because that's what it looked like. Letting go of everything. If I'm being honest, healing has looked like me even doing this podcast, because this is not something that I would have done. This is not just a performance. This is God breathed. Like, I would not have done anything like this, because this is the deeper right here. Like, me breaking out even out of my insecurities that the Lord revealed to me that are still there. And I said, God, Jesus, man, I'm tired. Can we do something else? Can we go heal the sick? There's people out there, people that are sick, people that are going through so much stuff. God, I want to just be a blessing to people. Just keep me as I go out and do your will. He said, nope. It's time to heal deeper. So right now, I've just been doing that. And if you've been healing, and you feel like you're just in a stagnant place of that, or ups and downs, maybe God is saying, now it's time to take it deeper. Now it's time to fully surrender. Your emotions are valid, but maybe it's time to stop operating out of your emotions. Maybe it's time to stop making your emotions an idol, because we do that. You make anger, revenge, jealousy, selfishness, all these things an idol. And maybe it's time to put all of that away and say, God, I fully surrender to you. I surrender to what you have for me, what you want to do in me, and whatever that looks like. And I'm forgetting those things that were behind. They can't hold me anymore. And I'm breaking the pattern of what I've seen. And I'm allowing myself to be painted by you. You finish this work. Because if I do it myself, it's going to be ruined. I'm not really much of a painter anyway. But God is. He's a masterful painter. And he is making our story the way that he wants. And we don't understand it all, but trust him through it all. Healing has looked like total trust, where it's like, God, it's just me and you. Whatever else you want me to do, I'm doing it. I've allowed insecurities to stop me for so long, but not anymore. I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do everything that you call me to do, because I'm secure in you. There is no, you're not broken in God. You come to him broken, but he mends that broken heart. If you're dealing with grief, he mends that broken heart, and he makes you over again. You're not too far gone. You're not too lost where God cannot pull you out and start a fresh work. But don't stop the process because it's not looking the way you want it to. Allow God to work in that chaos. So I just want to remind everybody that, Jesus is the process. He's not just the finished product. He's the process. He's with you on this journey. Journal, whatever works for you. Journal, time alone, affirmations, making time for yourself, making time for you and God, getting out and experiencing things, finding you outside of this, outside of church, outside of, everything that we do in church and all the, jumping and shouting and all that stuff. Find yourself and invite God into that and be like, God, I like this. Come do this with me. I'm inviting you in this. I'm inviting you in this time. Reading has been one of the, oh my God, I love to read, because every time I read, I feel like there's a breaking down of who I was, and I'm becoming what I'm reading. And that's reading the Bible, and that's also reading books by authors, pastors, and, self-help books, or, biographies and anything like that. It's just anything that can help me to get rid of that old mentality that tries to come back from here, from time to time. Remind yourself you're not there anymore. Remind yourself you are healing, you are moving, and you are in a process, and you are being painted by God. So we're ending this week's episode with Jesus is the process, not just the final product. Be encouraged and join us every other week for Preacher's Kid. Listen, I want you to like, comment, subscribe, DM me, whatever you got to do to get whatever it is you have to say out. Do it. We are listening. We want to hear what you have to say. If this podcast is helping you, if you are enjoying it, let us know. You can find us on YouTube, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. So until next time, love you guys. Be safe.